The Ateneo's Martial Law Museum calls out actress Toni Gonzaga for featuring the son of late dictator Ferdinand Marcos in her latest vlog. See, during that interview, former Senator Bongbong Marcos talked about the greatest lessons he learned from his dad and how the country supposedly benefited from his rule. The Martial Law Museum described this as an attempt to whitewash the numerous atrocities and human rights violations committed under the Marcos dictatorship. The museum also reminded Gonzaga to use her celebrity status for the common good and not for propaganda. It invited her to sit down with victims of the Marcos regime instead. We begin with Malacanang's response to the International Criminal Court pretrial chamber's approval of an investigation into the Duterte administration's war on drugs. The chamber says the bloody anti-drug campaign is not a legitimate law enforcement operation, but a widespread and systematic attack against the civilian population. The ICC's probe will also cover the killings in Davao City from November 2011 to June 30, 2016, when President Duterte served as both the mayor and the vice mayor there. The chamber adds, while the Philippines withdrew from the Rome Statute, which created the ICC, the court retains jurisdiction over alleged crimes that occurred from 2011 up to the time of the country's withdrawal in 2019. But Presidential Chief Legal Counsel Salvador Panelo insists the ICC never had jurisdiction over the Philippines. Panelo reiterates government will not cooperate with the probe and that ICC investigators will be barred from entering the country. He also accused the ICC of allowing itself to be used for political propaganda. Human rights group I Defend challenges the Philippine government to cooperate with the ICC if it has nothing to hide. I Defend was among the first groups to condemn President Duterte's drug war back in 2016. For attorney Ruben Carranza of the International Center for Transitional Justice says the palace may also appeal the ICC chamber's decision to authorize the investigation.
There's a chamber in the ICC that is meant for appeals, and the Philippines as a state that has jurisdiction over the crimes can appeal to that chamber, and that chamber will have to rule within a reasonable time on that appeal. While that is going on, the prosecutor is not stopped from actually conducting investigations. The prosecutor is also not stopped from seeking warrants of arrest or summons. At this stage, what the prosecutor will assemble is proof that identifies, that links each suspect that she will name when she files charges against them.
President Duterte calls the Senate probe into government's allegedly anomalous pandemic spending a witch hunt. Duterte insists there is no corruption in the health department's procurement of medical supplies. He adds he will still allow Health Secretary Francisco Duque III and Vaccine Chief Carlito Galvez Jr. to attend the hearings. But other secretaries will have to get his consent first. Duterte also praised the House Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability for its own probe into the controversy.
In the House, as I was informed, everybody were given a chance. Those who were called to testify were able to complete their story, and it is a more sane inquiry because ang mga witnesses nakapagsalita ng kanilang totoong sagot.
The president again went after Senate Blue Ribbon Committee Chairman Richard Gordon. He called him a despot. Duterte says he's ordering Solicitor General Jose Calida to have the Commission on Audit scrutinize the Philippine Red Cross, which Gordon heads.
Men judge best when they condemn. Ganon yan si despot. Tapos sabi niya, may narinig pa ako, sabi niya na natatakot na ako. Sus Mariosep Gordon. Hindi mo ako matakot not in a million years. Hindi ako kawatan kagaya mo. Red Cross na ginagatasan araw-araw. Ikaw, meron kang nakaparking dyan. Yan, pinarking mo yung milking cow mo, ang Red Cross na yan. Ito, ka.
Meanwhile, Presidential Chief Legal Counsel Salvador Panelo calls out the Senate after Blue Ribbon Committee Chairman Richard Gordon accused President Duterte of inciting to sedition. Panelo believes it's actually the Senate that's guilty of that crime. He says the Senate is restraining the executive branch from addressing the pandemic by summoning government officials to their hearings. But senators are unfazed. They vowed to continue the probe despite President Duterte's continued attacks.
Hindi naman pwedeng pigilan ng executive department yung mga hindi government officials. Ang pwede lang pigilan yung mga cabinet officials. Pero si Michael lang, hindi naman kabinete yun. O yung si Ong, at saka ito si Christopher Lau, hindi na siya gobyerno.
The Commission on Audit toning down its findings on government's multi-billion peso deal with Pharmaly Pharmaceuticals. The state auditor denies describing the purchased medical supplies as overpriced, nor was there any ghost purchase. COA Chair Michael Aguinaldo made that clarification during Wednesday's House probe on government's pandemic spending. It was also played back during President Duterte's state speech this morning.
Masasabi ko lang po is wala po sa COA report ng PSDBM ang statement na may overpricing po. There's no statement to that. The observations related more to inventory management than overpricing. So hindi po tama na sabihin ang COA ang nagsabi na may overprice.
The Philippines ready for any potential terror attack. That's according to Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana, as he allays concerns over Japan's warning of terror attacks in Southeast Asia, including the Philippines. The military says the security level in the country remains at moderate. This means there is no perceived attack at the moment. Lorenzana says government troops are constantly ramping up their monitoring and intelligence gathering efforts.
Itong ating bansa ay napakarami ng experience sa terror acts, ano? Itong mga nakaraang 20 taon. Kaya sa bandang akin, hindi na natin kailangan pa ang warning na yan dahil alam natin ang gagawin natin, alam natin ang mga consequences ng terror attack. As of now, wala namang report yung intelligence community about foreign terrorists na nag-ooperate dito. So as far as we're concerned, wala. Ang ating minamanmanan ngayon ay yung mga local. Meron tayong trilateral maritime at saka aerial patrols with Malaysia at Indonesia. Nagdagdag tayo ng mga barko dyan, yung madalit na barko dyan sa border at hinaharang natin at pinamonitor natin yung mga pagpasok na galing sa kabila.
The Philippines poll body is considering extending voting hours in the 2022 polls due to the pandemic. The Commission on Elections says voting hours could be stretched up to 9 in the evening beyond the 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. window, especially in COVID-19 hotspots.
Titingnan natin yung flow ng botante on the day na kasi the NBank naman can decide it immediately. On kung titingin natin, marami pang hindi nakaboto because of the pandemic, pwede tayo mag-1 oras, 2 oras, 3 oras.
If everyone were to come like sunod-sunod, darating lang sila regularly, then kayang-kaya to. That's a lot of time. No? We have 12 hours to begin with.
But the COMELEC says it cannot hold multi-day elections. That's because Congress would have to amend the Constitution and double the budget needed for the salary of teachers acting as poll workers. 6.5 million Filipinos were removed from the voters list after not showing up in 2 consecutive elections. That's according to Elections Commissioner Rowena Guanzon. She says they can still reactivate their status by contacting their local COMELEC offices.
Pwede naman silang mag-reactivate through email. Walang kayo sa COMELEC website, lahat ng email ng aming regional offices o election officer ninyo ay nandyan. Para mag-reactivate, hindi na kailangan pumuntang COMELEC office, mag-email po kayo sa inyong election officer.